serious?
Hello guys, my name is Russian Badger, and oh my god, the boats, man. They're not only so effective, but they're also very, very fun to use. They're just outright deadly. And I find it so funny because I just picture Steve sitting in the front seat in his little minigun, looking up at Carl piloting that multi-million-dollar aircraft. Just, I don't care how expensive that aircraft is, Carl. I'm probably going to shoot you down with this little boat here that probably costs, oh, I don't know, maybe 10 grand plus 5 gummy bears and 10 Oreos if I really want to sweeten up the deal. It's just mind-boggling. I'm going to shoot you down with a little boat that probably costs less than your shirt and you're flying a multi-million-dollar aircraft. It's just genuinely humorous. Now, I think a lot of you are probably under the impression that I'm most excited for the weapons in Battlefield 4. However, I am much more excited for the maps because the maps are no longer static, and I'll get to that with the buzzword, the word that you've all been waiting for, LELVOLUTION. And essentially what that means is, in terms of Paracel Storm, is that, well, every map for that matter in terms of Battlefield 4, is that it's not something that is static anymore. It's not like one map stays the same way the entire time. Now granted, in the Battlefield series, you've always had a little bit of map changing events, as in, oh look, this wall is no longer there, so I can't use it for cover, meow meow meow. And I guess that's true, but I think in terms of LELVOLUTION or LEVOLUTION in Battlefield 4, it's more of a broader scale. And I got into a bit of a boat-on-boat fight with this Carl over here. I'm not exactly sure what he was doing, and I'm not a good example as to how to use boats effectively. I'm pretty sure I missed all 3 of my rockets here. However, I somehow still beat him out of pure luck. I can't say that's skill at all. But in terms of LELVOLUTION, on a larger scale, it's something that affects the entire map, and I tried to play it out chronologically for you guys. So what I mean by that specifically is that it starts out very bright and shiny, like bright shiny day. It's kind of like the Tom Cruise syndrome where you have to wear sunglasses everywhere or else your experience is not going to be as fun. It's going to be watered down. The one piece of advice that I can give you in terms of the sunny part of this map, as in earlier on in terms of Conquest, move from the A flag down to the E flag. And essentially what that's going to do for you is that's going to make sure that essentially you're not going to get eye cancer, alright? If you move from E to A, you're going to have the sun in your eyes the entire time, alright? The entire time. As you can kind of see it out of the corner of your screen now, but that's not even the most intense. This is about midway. And it does transition from that. So it goes from really shiny to a little bit of a darker period to a lot darker to pretty well complete darkness at the end of the map. But you'll see all that eventually. Just the one nugget of advice. It's better to move from the north side at A to the south side at E. It's much better to move A to E because you don't have all this sunlight in your eyes. And believe me, try it. Try going from Echo to Alpha, alright? Tell me you don't have eye cancer by the time that you're done with that trip, Carl. It's gonna happen, alright? It's gonna happen. That's one nugget of advice that I have. But I think that really is what intrigues me the most, is that now these maps are shifting in terms of the broader scale of the entire setting. So it's not just, like I said, oh, this wall is no longer there, this building collapsed, meow meow meow. It's like the entire map has dynamic lighting, and I didn't really need to use a missile on one specific infantryman. I think that's a little excessive. I don't think I need missiles to direct impact people. I don't think that's a good investment in your missile or your rocket, whatever that is, but that guy probably got dunked on pretty hard, I'm not gonna lie, and I guess it's worth it. I guess it's not on my tab. I'm not putting that boat, rocket, whatever it's called, on my tab, so I guess I don't really care all that much. Now look to the left of your screen. If you look to the left corner, I guess it's a little bit too late now, but you can see that's where the LELVOLUTION event is triggered. So you've got, yeah, you can see it now, just partially out the top of your screen. It's this boat that is currently lodged on a windmill, and eventually the windmill breaks. I believe that's player initiated, if I'm not mistaken. But I think at the end clip does show it, that I have it here. But I believe that LELVOLUTION event, or the LEVOLUTION event, is triggered by somebody blowing up or having some sort of explosives around the windmill, and then it dislodges the ship, it crashes into sea, and then essentially it's like a mad scramble for the AA gun on top of the deck. And I got a little carried away here. Okay, so I pull out this car. Oh my god, that's a little excessive. I don't think do I have to... Why are you slithering around on the ground, Carl? That's not necessary, right? That's really not necessary. I gotta do a pretty sticky situation here, and I can't say that I'm proud of myself, right? I direct impacted a guy with a rocket from a boat. I direct impacted Carl over here with a 40mm grenade. I don't think that's very nice. I really don't think that's all that nice. I could have just shot him with bullets like a normal person, right? But I guess that's not cool. One thing I can say, these pistols have some serious stopping power. I'm not going to say it's like you can totally overpower somebody with an AK-12, but I can easily say that it is very effective for almost a primary weapon. Almost. Not quite. I think it's just right, but it's almost to the point where I would feel comfortable running around with a pistol and killing people individually. It's that good. Now, I'm not sure how you guys feel about that. I'm not sure if you guys feel as if, oh, I want my sidearms to be really powerful and just destroy people, and I want something that's reliable when I pull out my sidearm, or you guys want something that is deliberately not as good as your primary so that it's good balancing. So it's not like you're running around with two primaries. You're really running around with a true secondary that is not as good as the primary weapons that are offered by Battlefield 4. I'm actually interested to learn your opinions about that. And as you can see, in terms of the whole LELVOLUTION thing going on right here, I took some ammo from the catfish that somehow got snuck up on by this other cloth monster. I really did not get how that happened, because that guy was like he was like crouch walking around this entire section of the map earlier on. That player was just goofy, alright? There was a basketball court, and I immediately thought of Jamal, but that's a little bit of a different story. And as you can see here, things are changing a little bit. So instead of that windmill functioning the way that it should, it's pretty well just breaking itself right now, and you can use the bushes to your advantage even in Battlefield 4. I almost feel like saying, it's like, who was that? Is that Commander Shepard or Colonel Shepard? I can't remember who that is. Like, essentially saying the more things change, the more they stay the same. Bush monsters still exist in Battlefield 4, right? They are alive and thriving. Although they might not be wearing a ghillie suit, they are still very, very effective, as in, if you just pretend that you're a bush and like, don't look at me, I'm a bush, look the other direction. It's quite effective, at least if you ask me. It's still a tactic that can be utilized effectively to not only deceive your enemies, but just pretend that you're not there and then shoot them once they walk by. It's not camping if you're inside a bush, alright? That's just the way it works. And there's the LELVOLUTION of the windmill just progressing even more. It looks like it's on fire now. And there's some guys over here eventually that dislodge it, and that boat comes in. It's much more massive once you actually play the map yourself, because I think we've all seen, at least most of us have seen footage of Paracel Storm in terms of when that boat comes crashing in on Sea Flag and meow meow meow. I like all these guys that were just swimming around like fishy frogs. That's not necessary. You could just go ahead and swim the other direction and I wouldn't shoot you in the face. There's another great example. You saw it off to your left. The building destruction is much, much better, right? It's not like Battlefield. Oh yeah, and this is so funny, alright? It's so funny just because, Ninja please, you ain't Chinese, give me your sandwich, dog. And that's something that stays current, alright? That's something that stays current. Some things change. Like, granted, I think the destruction is much more dynamic, and it's on a grander scale, and you can do it a lot more effectively, and it's more complex. The destruction of buildings is much more complex. But in that knife kill right there, another thing stays the same from Battlefield 3 and previous Battlefield games for that matter. And here comes the LELVOLUTION event. I'll explain it just before you come in. These things stay the same. Like, essentially, if you're playing Chinese and you hear somebody speaking English or American, like any kind of American or any kind of English, just be like, Ninja please, you ain't Chinese, and you gotta look for him and kill him. Like, essentially, the language of the opposing enemy, and the language of the enemy is still very, very good for detecting essentially who's around you and gaining an understanding of where your enemies are. Now look at this guy. That guy's like okay, you will learn about that guy in the bonus clip, alright? He's like an anti-gravity suit on right now. I don't know what his deal is, but this is the big LELVOLUTION event. Here's what I'd like to say. I did not realize that the ship is this big. At least from what I saw on YouTube previously of all the other people that have uploaded Paracel Storm from, I guess they visited EA or whatever, I did not realize this thing is humongous. And essentially what happens is, as soon as this thing crashes ashore, everything around Sea Flag becomes party like over and over and over again. Everybody wants to come over the sea flag and touch this thing or lick this thing. I don't get exactly what they're doing. It's like, do you want to repaint the ship? Do you want to find the velociraptors that have eaten half the crew? Or actually, I'm pretty sure they ate all of the crew. And as you can see, just above me, I don't know if you can see it very well, but just above me, there is another, and I somehow got that guy in the boat. That's a lucky shot, but essentially on this boat right here, you can see it. Look just to the bottom right of the CN right there, or to the right of the Chinese flag, you can see the AA gun. Everybody scrambles for that as soon as you get over there. So that's a major point if you really want to take C. And that's essentially the way the LELVOLUTION works on this map. And I think it's very, very fun to see because it's a map that starts out rather jolly with all this sunlight and everything else, and then it turns darker, and then it turns extremely dark, and then the ship comes in and everything gets torn to shreds because the T-Rex is unloaded, and nobody likes a T-Rex except for that one guy in his backyard with the doghouse. You guys all probably remember that anyways. And just to give you guys a quick update, I'm going to be gone in London from tomorrow, which is really today because it's 1 in the morning. But from Tuesday until Saturday, so I won't be able to upload anymore. I might just make videos in advance. I haven't really decided yet. But this is the first one of many. So I'd like to thank you guys very much for watching. I will see you guys next time. Auf Wiedersehen und bis bald und later.